So, I'm drawing this little thing right now as a sort of this is gonna be this is unfinished, obviously, but this is gonna end up being like a very serious like art piece, kind of, for me at least. I'm gonna just put a lot of effort into it, and I want it to be something that I can make as a sort of like as a thank you to the show for being a positive influence in my life for almost 10 years. And the reason I'm even doing this is because it's the 10-year anniversary now. But the premise of the show. Why did I get into the show? What made me gravitate towards it so much? And why do I appreciate the impact that it's had to the degree that it's had it? And this is, I think, is probably applicable to a lot of people who loved this show growing up as adults, just in general, right? When I found the show originally, when I first got into it, the premise of the show, it was okay. It was a multitude of things. I always liked cute things like that, so that was kind of something that I liked about it. But the premise of the show is what kept me there, is because there was a sort of a visceral sort of attachment that I had to it in the state that I was in. The premise of the show, it takes place around Twilight Sparkle, this character in the middle here, right? This purple little unicorn who's kind of a dork, who moves into Ponyville from the city, and she doesn't know anybody there. She's just trying to make her way through life, you know, just chilling out. But the princess, Princess Celestia gives her a task. She says, I thought it was Pinkie Pie. Princess Celestia says to her, Twilight, you're gonna make some friends. Alright, that's your main task. And so she goes on to attempt to fit in, right? You follow her on this journey where she's trying to find a place for herself in Ponyville, when she's this kind of like socially awkward, a little bit, you know, nerdy, dorky sort of character who you just root for her really hard. It's rare that you find a show where the protagonist is this sort of like awkward kind of dork who doesn't really fit in, who feels like, you know, socially anxious and stuff like that in certain situations, trying to meet new people. That's something that really drew me to the show, right? I was relating to Sparkle. At this point in time, I had like English has been my second language, right? And I live in an English-speaking country, so there's always been this sort of barrier of like, I've always felt a little bit like out of place, because even though I live here, people always ask me like, oh, where you're from? Or they don't understand what I say, or I used to stutter a lot. And I was kind of like an outcast for like those kinds of reasons, right? Because of that, I also studied a lot at school, and I studied really hard. So I was kind of nerdy in that sort of sense. I was a bookworm. So in that sort of sense, I saw that part of myself in Twilight as well, right? And I was on my own quest in life to like make friends and meet people. And it was hard, and it was awkward, and I went through like all these sort of situations that I saw Twilight go through in the show. So when I saw her go through those situations, and like prosper at the end, and make it through, I was rooting for her super hard, and that made me feel like I had confidence in myself that I could do it too. Which is kind of cheesy to say, obviously, but that's something that like, I really valued. And going through that, just watching her succeed and like progress and develop over the course of the show, and especially in the early stages, that was something that I really valued, and was really fun to watch through. But, more so than that, I think a lot of other people in the world, around the world, also really like this show. And it started blowing up. Not quite immediately, but it got pretty popular. And one thing that was really big in the pony fandom especially was creative people. You saw people making sculptures, creating plush toys, drawing, making music, writing stories in amounts that I've never seen a fandom make. Up until that point, I guess, really, right? That was like my first exposure to like all that sort of stuff. Reading fan fiction, you know, watching people make crazy art, all fueled by like being shown like Equestria Daily, which was like the hub for all of this sort of stuff. That was really cool. And I thought like, dude, seeing all these people like get into it and like this creative boom that was like centered around this show, I felt like, dude, I want to be part of this like cultural phenomenon. And that's what got me into actually like trying to draw and trying to write, right? Because I've tried writing stories and stuff like that, and even trying to make music. I've literally tried making songs because this show has been like an impact in my life, right? And that was enough of a driving force when I saw like other people on the internet like kind of, you know, growing and developing as artists, and I was like, dude, I want to learn how to like draw this sort of stuff and like improve as well so I can draw things from the show, that sort of thing. It's kind of a silly way to start, but that's what got me into like drawing in general. And then from there, that obviously like branched out, and it bloomed into something like a lot more intense, obviously, like as I started to draw other things, and I just started to fall in love with the concept of drawing in the first place. Looking back at that impact that the show had, and the positivity that I have in my, like the positive impact that it's had, right, and how I am in my life now, That's something that I'll forever be thankful for. And it's not only the show that did that, but the community around it. And I think back on all of that with like fond memories. So like I can't say the show is like cringy or like weird or dumb or anything like that, because it's been like a crazy driving force. And like from there, you know, I've just carried that forward, and it's still been like an inspirational sort of thing. And I love always coming back to it. Like the show is so long that there's so much stuff there. And there's so many fan works, fan songs, fan fictions. There's just so much content there. And every time I come back, seeing like the positivity around like all this sort of stuff, around these cute little horses, everybody just being like, you know, peaceful and kind to each other, especially something that's kind of rare in the world now, that's something that's kind of inspiring as well. So I like to take that from the show, and from the fans as well. So that's kind of beautiful, in my opinion. Kade best friends forever. Actually, thanks forever. Kade theme song. So that's why I appreciate the show for what it's worth, I think. It's just had a lot of positive impacts. It's kept me creative, and that's something that it's really hard to like find anything else. Hey, Sneaky Rogue Thief, thanks for tuning in. Been lurking? Aw. You've heard my story then, maybe. Okay. Now, a little bit of, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a Monka Eyes kind of a peek into how I found out about the show, right? This is kind of embarrassing. I don't tell people about this, but my really close friends know, because it's embarrassing. I didn't end up watching the show until a friend of mine in person started watching it too, who's also like kind of introverted. I'm not gonna say who it is, because I don't know if they want to be exposed on stream or not, but it's somebody I had in my life for a real long time. I've been friends with them for like 15 years. Wait, how long has it been? No, I'm miscalculating. 12 years. How long was it? 2008? 2009? 11 years. He showed it to me when I started watching it, and I acted like that was the first time I'd heard about it, right? But I've been somebody who's been lurking on the internet for a long time, and the first time I actually found about these characters was in a kind of sort of a horrifying way, almost. There's a lot of Rule 34 on the internet, right? And I stumbled across some post on the internet by accident of like porn of the characters. I'm pretty sure it's Pinkie Pie. And that just stuck out to me as like really weird. That was when the show was in its heyday, within the first year. And then literally 2 months later, my friend was like, I just started watching this show, and he showed me the pictures of the stuff, and I was like, I reacted like, oh, this is cute. It's made by like Lauren Faust. I knew she was like involved in Powerpuff Girls, but internally I was thinking, holy shit, dude, I know where these are from. So that's how I first found out about it. And that's just like a unfortunate way of being introduced to it, but I kind of knew about it before then from that, but I never watched it. I kind of avoided it from there, but, you know, once he started getting into it, then from there I just kind of, it just, you know, it blossomed into what it is now. So that's a little fun, horrifying tidbit, hello. I have no clue you're talking about this. Yeah, that was my OC's caretaker. Yeah, the Fluttershy is cute, yeah. I need to make Rainbow Dashless blue, I think. She's very, very cyan here. But yeah. I'll highlight that section out, that little speech that I gave, and I'll put it on YouTube or something.